A.D. Williams once said, "Imagine what 7 billion humans could accomplish if we loved and respected one another." Just imagine. Imagine if there was no greed. Imagine if there was no comparison. If everyone was running their own race, but cheering for all others at the same time. Maybe we'll never see that in our lifetime. But what we all can do is start with ourselves. Start with yourself. Choose to lift others up. Choose to set the example of kindness and integrity, the example of compassion and understanding. There's a quote that says, "No matter how educated, talented, rich, or cool you believe you are, how you treat people ultimately tells all." Integrity is everything. It really is. Who you are is far more important than what you have, and it will always be. Who you are is measured by how you make others feel. Be kind to each other. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. Choose to be the change you wish to see in the world. Decide you will not wait for someone else. You will set the example. Be kind. Because you never know how much that person is suffering inside. You never know the difference your words can make, the difference your presence can make, the difference you can make to one human life. Be the reason someone believes in the goodness of humanity. Be the reason someone else decides to make a difference in others. Be the influence you want to see more of. Always do what is right, not what is easy in the moment. Kindness spreads like a virus. When you do good to another, that person does better to those they come in contact with. You really can make a big difference in the world today and every other day. Anne Frank said, "In the long run, the sharpest weapon of all is a kind and gentle spirit." No one has ever made themselves great by showing how small another is. Be kind and always build others up to the best of your ability. Treat everyone with the same level of kindness that you would like for yourself. Not because everyone is nice, but because you are. Because karma makes no mistakes. Because it is right. Because you have integrity. Because you want this world to be better when you leave than when you arrive.
Good morning and welcome to West. Thank you for streaming with us online on this snowy morning. We hope wherever you are listening from or watching from, you have a warm place to be and you are enjoying this different kind of weather that we are experiencing here in North Carolina. We are just so excited about today's message. It is about revenge and seeking revenge. And the title of the message is "Kill Them with Kindness and Then Fart." And actually, that's what doing revenge ends up being. Like, it's like this idea that you're just going to get them. You're going to stick it to them and you kill them with kindness. And what that does is it leaves the most foul odor around ever. Nothing good ever comes from revenge. In fact, if you are a part of our Faith Infusion box, today we gave you a whoopee cushion to remember. You know, this whole thing of seeking revenge, like when you blow it up and somebody sits on it and it sounds like somebody expels gas. Gas is never like, I mean, for our bodies it's a good thing, but for everybody else it's not. And that is exactly what revenge is. It is never, ever a good thing. If you are newer to the West community, we are so glad that you are worshiping with us, whether it is this morning or whether you are listening to the podcast or live stream. We would love for you to text the word welcome to the number that you see on your screen, 704 343 8955. 704 343 8955. We believe that you'll find some relevance in what we have to say today and some helpful tips, faith based, that will help you in your life. Thanks for joining in.
Sometimes in life, we encounter difficult people. There's no reasoning, no logic, relationships with them simply seem impossible. Start off the new year with helpful insight on productive conversations, practicing empathy, and dealing with people when mean seems to be a defining word.
Give it back! Fine, I'm taking your card. What? No, you can't take my card. This is my card. You can't take my card. What are you doing, dude? It's mine. Oh my God.
So we are in the middle of a message series called The Karens and the Chads. And first of all, we apologize to anyone that is named Karen or Chad. What a really crappy stereotype that have been attributed to people with those names. And it means someone that is high demand, never happy, somebody that's always that person that's like, I demand to speak to the manager. I am not happy. You have to make me happy. People that are very entitled, people that are very just not able to ever be at peace with what they have. And they're just, frankly, sometimes pretty mean. Truth is, in our lives, we all have to deal with difficult people. And sometimes we cannot extricate ourselves from those relationships. Those mean people are either our boss, a colleague, a family member, and you dread those Thanksgiving meals when you know that your uncle that's just not a nice person is going to show up and everybody has to endure the meal with him. He's just a mean person. We have to deal with mean people in our lives, and so we thought for a few weeks here at West Church Lake Norman that we would talk about that. Last week, if you didn't have a chance to check out that message, I would invite you to go back and do that. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a like there on YouTube or on the podcast that station that you listen to. But last week, we talked about the number one aid, the best medicine for mean people is called empathy. And empathy and sympathy are different. Sympathy is when you just look at the situation and you're like, oh yeah, I feel bad for them or I hate that for them. But empathy is when you actually take off your shoes and you jump right in, feet first, into their shoes, and you see how they live, what they are involved in, what might make them think and feel the way that they are feeling. When we have empathy, it changes the dynamics. I don't care how mean someone is. Hurting people always hurt people, and can guarantee you that mean people often, even if they're not aware of it, they are hurting deep down within, and they take their hurt out by being mean. Now, so that's what we talked about last week. This week, we're going to talk about, so what happens to us when people are mean to us, and how there is an innate response. We are actually hardwired to respond in a certain way. Every single human being on this earth, it is actually a scientifically proved thing. It is a part of us and how we have evolved over the millions of years of humanity and mammal and stuff's existence. We have evolved with this innate response that when someone hurts us, it is our gut reaction to seek revenge, to bring harm to them. We seek revenge when we experience pain. It is in our moments of pain, actually, that we start thinking and feeling that desire to seek revenge. So I want to show you something. This also was in the Faith Infusion box. That's a box that we send out to folks at the beginning of every new message series, every 4 to 6 weeks. And it has spiritual content in there. It has things to go along with the message series. We designed this for our online worshiping community. If you do not get and subscribe to our faith subscription boxes, we would invite you to type that in the chat room. Let us know that you would like to be on the mailing list for this. It's a really cool thing. It has meditation questions. It has a QR code for a playlist. It has different things that go along with the messages each week. Like next week, we're going to talk about the high road and taking the high road. So you have this handy dandy little car and your own road in there. But today we are talking about seeking revenge, and I want to talk about what revenge does to us. Now remember, it's when we're hurting that we are determined to seek revenge, and it is an innate human response. Like when we are hurt, it is our response, our inkling to try to hurt someone else. But that is not good, because look at what happens. So I'm going to write down some personal situations that have happened to me over the last year or so. And I want you to think about this pantyhose is my intestine. All right. It's your intestine too. And this little ball is one of the painful experiences that I have gone through. And I'd invite you, as I'm writing down my painful experiences, I'd invite you to write down yours as well. These are all situations that have been hurtful to me, and they are situations that I have spent a lot of time thinking about and pondering. And every time one of these things happened, I guarantee you I spent at least 2 to 3 hours trying to think about what my response would be and how I wanted to get revenge. And the point of revenge was not necessarily like to bring physical harm to them, but I wanted to prove that they were wrong and I was right. And so each of these, balls represents a situation. And then, like, if this is our intestine, look at what physically happens to our bodies when we allow stress and negative things to consume us on the inside. We get all twisted up. Our stomach hurts. Ulcers end up developing if you can't deal with stuff like this in a healthy manner in an ongoing way. Science and studies have shown that stress does horrific things to our bodies. And so, first, I want us to recognize that when bad things happen to us, we want to seek revenge. We get like one of these white ping pong balls, and that is that issue. And we hold on to it, and sometimes that issue gets bigger and bigger and bigger because we fixate on it more and more and more. And when we do that, it actually becomes worse than it originally was. And then it just gets trapped in our bodies and in our minds, and it consumes us. It keeps us off balance. Revenge is never a good thing. Just because somebody hurts us or embarrasses us or brings pain to us, we need to find a way to not want to do that back to them. I really want us to remember that there are some important reasons that we should not seek revenge. First of all, like, remember that whole evolution thing? Like, it is a primitive, barbaric response. It is a savage response. Think about the animals out in the wild. Like, every time, a couple of times when we've been in Uganda, we had the privilege of going on safari. And the first time we went, it was all beautiful, and all the little animals were just, frolicking out across the land. And then the second time we went on safari, all of a sudden, this like hyena started chasing a wildebeest. I mean, it was like we were living out the Lion King. And all of a sudden it attacked the wildebeest, and it was like on all fours, and it was killing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to bring us to Uganda on a safari to see this animal kill this other animal. Like, our whole van went absolutely silent and quiet. And then the guide said, it's just part of the circle of life. Like, it just happens. It may just happen in the animal world, but we are humans, and we have evolved a little bit past that savage, barbaric response as a need to protect ourselves. There are other ways to protect ourselves instead of like going and trying to attack the perpetrator. The material and psychological and spiritual cost of revenge can be just devastating. School boards are political institutions, right? Like, people that get on school boards are elected bodies. 20 years ago, there was a tumultuous period in a surrounding area's school board. The school system was experiencing a tremendous amount of success, and they were known all around for the good that was happening. It was a rather impoverished school system. So the fact that they were gaining notoriety and their test scores were off the charts and all this kind of stuff, lots of people were moving to this area because the schools were just stellar. They had an amazing superintendent that had grown up in that school system, gone away, gone to college, worked in other systems, and then came back as the superintendent. I mean, it was like nirvana. It was the perfect thing. Well, anytime it's a political organization, there's always different sides, right? So a couple of people started running on the platform that they wanted to fire the superintendent and all of the superintendent's like cabinet or his upper level employees. And so if you're trying to liken that to like our government system, it'd be like wanting to fire the president and the cabinet, okay? So a couple of people ran on this platform of firing like this whole group of people. Now, 3 people ran on this platform. Only 2 actually won. Only 2 people won the school board seats, and it was like, I think, a 7-seat board. Now, one of the employees that knew that these 2 people, 2 out of 7, the odds are not in their favor, that these 2 people were elected, it just consumed him. It was like this crazy, crazy obsession. Like he found out where they lived. He did silly things like started sending random magazines to their house and filling out, requests for orders online. I mean, it was like messed up stuff. I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, that is a little crazy. But he was so consumed with his hatred and wanting to get back at them because of what they've said and what they were going to try to do. It put a rift in his marriage. His kids began to tell him what an angry person he had become. He became a recluse, and his leadership in the church started to wane because he was so focused on all this negativity. That is what happens if we aren't careful and if we want to get back at somebody because they've hurt us. It cost us. It cost us with our physical health. It cost us with our mental and our spiritual health. There is some comfort that comes in killing that which has hurt you. But it is a cold comfort. It will destroy things inside of you that the original pain would have never, ever harmed. When we get revenge, if we actually do it, I mean, like the satisfaction, it's this big. But life is like this big. And that instant gratification will never carry us through the long journey. This thing called life, it is a marathon, not a sprint. And as we run the race, just like the Apostle Paul talked about, we are going to encounter difficult things. There are always going to be hurdles. There are always going to be difficult people. But what if we started looking at those hurdles and that difficult people instead of just as something so detrimental and so harmful? Instead, think about them as being life-giving because they can push us to grow and be stronger. That's one of the suggestions that I have for you when you think about revenge. Rob Bell is a very controversial pastor. I love his stuff. He was a very, very fundamentalist pastor. And then the more he started studying scripture and theologians and ancient church history and science, the more his mind was blown. And he's like, wait, I've missed the mark. We've missed the mark. Like, this whole judgmental thing about religion, I think religion's about so much more. And so he's written some really powerful books. He has this quote about revenge. Check it out. When someone wrongs us, we rarely, if ever, want to do the exact same thing back. Why? Because we want to do something that's even more harmful. Revenge always escalates. Like we're in the pain of the situation, and then when we want to get back at them, I mean, really, that phrase, I want to stick it to you, and I'm going to make sure that I hurt you just a little more than you hurt me, because I want to make my point, and I want my pain, I'm going to project my pain onto you. And I want to prove to you that I am right. But the kicker is that Jesus, when he came and when he lived and when he talked, he did not teach that it's all about being right. In fact, Jesus never said, okay, you are here so that you can be right. Instead, he taught us to be gracious and loving. So when they wrote the book of 2 Peter, when they were writing that letter, they put some powerful words in there about being right that is our scripture verse for this morning. Do not pay back evil for evil, and do not give back insult for insult. Instead, give blessing in return. You were called to do this so that you might inherit a blessing. Now, I want to be really clear. This does not mean, Scripture's not saying that if you don't repay evil for evil or insult for insult, like money is going to come just falling down your sky like you just won the jackpot at the casino or won the raffle. What it does mean is when we can find it within ourselves to offer love and empathy and grace instead of retribution and anger and hate and revenge, a blessing will happen in our lives. And that blessing, a promise, will be one of love and peace. That's why when Jesus taught us, don't repay evil for evil, but instead repay evil with good. You're not called to tolerate the people that are mean to you or insult you. You're actually called to love them. And loving them means turning the other cheek, looking at it from their shoes, walking a mile in their shoes, giving them the coat off your back, even if you hate them. Love is the action we're always supposed to take. And if we do, we are the ones who are changed. I promise you, nothing good ever comes from revenge. And now look, if none of this makes you feel better, okay, if this is all like, just Pollyanna, just frou-frou words, and you're like, you must not really know what it's like to be hurt. This is about me. This is about how I feel. Well, then let me give you just a different way of looking at it. When people are really mean to you, there are always people watching, people that you have the opportunity to influence. We all live this life, and we all will leave a legacy, and we will all leave an influence in our wake. So, what if you think about it this way? The meaner that someone is to you, the more you have an opportunity to let your inner self, your inner light shine. And the more you have the opportunity to show the world who and what you are made of. We're not trying to win noble badges, right? We're trying to live a life that mimics the life of Jesus, who was the ultimate one that never sought revenge. But his lessons are more than just a checklist. His lessons are like, look, if you will live this way, if you will love, not tolerate, if you will be willing to go the extra mile, turn the other cheek, you will have this contentment and this inner peace, and your inner light will shine so big. You have no idea what your life is going to be like and what kind of blessings you're going to feel and experience if you're willing to do that hard work and turn the other cheek. And when folks are mean to us, we really do have that opportunity to make that conscious choice. What road are we going to take? And the meaner they are, the more you do have your light and have an opportunity to let it shine. And if you'll let it shine, I promise, the changes that happen within you, they're game changers. They're transformational. In a world where revenge is a natural, just response, I would invite us all to be unpredictable. Don't be predictable and exact what they give you. Instead, maybe show a little of that, kill them with kindness. Be unpredictable. Show love and not tolerance. The high road makes people uncomfortable, but it's the one that we are called to take, because guess what? And this is like my favorite quote from this whole series. Andy Stanley said this: when this story, when this drama that you're in with someone else, when it is all said and done, and it is nothing left but a story to tell, what do you want your story to be? When it is all said and done, and this drama, this BS, this mess is nothing left but a story to tell. What do you want your story to be? I want mine to be that even in the crappiest of circumstances, even when she was mad or sad or defensive, after a few minutes of working through those very human emotions, she always erred with love and grace. Be unpredictable. And when it's all a story left to tell, make sure your story that you're going to tell and that will be told about you is a good one. Let us pray. Gracious God, revenge feels like it's going to be a good thing, because anytime we can bring some closure when we've been hurt, it feels good. But it only feels good for like a nanosecond, and then we just are in a mess just as big as it was when we started, if not bigger. The things that we're holding on to, God, the relationships that are hard, or the ways that people have hurt us, that end up like knots in our stomachs, help us identify those, and then help us let go of them by practicing empathy and not just tolerating them, but loving them, so that we can be the people that you've called us to be and live the life that you've called us to live. We offer our prayers in Christ's name, who taught us how to not seek revenge. Amen.
In a time full of war, be peace. In a time full of doubt, just believe. Yeah, there ain't that much difference between you and me. In a time full of war, be peace. In a world full of hate, be a light. When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Don't hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be a light. La 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 la. In a place that needs a change, make a difference. In a time full of noise, just listen. This life is but a breeze, better live it. In a place that needs to change, make a difference. In a world full of hate, be a light. When you do somebody wrong, make it right.
Oh, don't hide in the dark, you were
In a race that you can win, slow it down. Yeah, you only get a one go around. 'Cause the finish line is 6 feet in the ground.
In a race you can't win, just slow it down.
In a world full of hate, be alive.
Oh,
When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Don't hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be alive. Yeah, it's hard to live in color when you just see black and white. In a world full of hate, be a light.
Hi friends! We have so many great outings planned for 2022. We are excited to announce that Amped is going bowling. Sunday, January 23rd at 3 p.m. at Victory Lanes Entertainment and Events Center in Mooresville, North Carolina. West Church Lake Norman will sponsor one free game of bowling per child at this event. Woohoo! Please RSVP for this event by Thursday, January 20th. To receive the link to register for this event, please text the word bowling to 704-343-8955. We can't wait to bowl with you. Bye.
Hey kids, Happy New Year! Welcome to the first Amped episode of 2022. We have so many fun things planned in this episode today. We've got a craft with Lindsay, we have funny videos, we have a Bible story, and we even have a new mission component of Amped. How awesome is that? I even think that we're gonna see my buddy Pete today. Come on, let's get started.
Hey guys, welcome back to Amped Up Art. My name is Lindsay, and guess what? It's January. You know what January means? It means it's cold outside. I just love snow. I really wish it would snow, but there's no snow where I live, at least not yet. Oh well, I don't know. I just love making snowmen and having snowball fights. And have you ever tried snow cream? Oh, it's the best. But since we don't have any snow here, I guess, oh, I know. I'll do a craft that has to do with snow. You know what kind of animals live in the snow? Penguins. And guess what? Here's a fun fact about penguins. The boy penguins sometimes will give the girl penguins rocks to be their friend. Isn't that funny? What if someone just came up to you and gave you a rock? What would you do with it? Anyway, let's get started on our craft. Today, what you need for your craft is an empty water bottle, some googly eyes, some glue, a bunch of white cotton balls, some scissors, a little bit of orange paper, and a little bit of black paper. All right, let's get started. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is take the wrapping off your water bottle. All right, so once you've got the wrapping off your water bottle, you're gonna take all of your cotton balls and you're gonna stuff them right inside until your water bottle is full of the white cotton balls. Take the lid of your water bottle and screw it on tight. What you're gonna do now is you're gonna take your black construction paper and you're gonna make little wings. As you can start in the corner like this and kind of round out your wings just like that. So you should have a piece that looks about like that, and it's gonna go on the side just like this. So then you can cut out another one. There you go. Now you've got 2 black wings for your penguin. Take your glue, put a little bit on the edge, all the way down just like that. Make sure it's on there really good. Then you're gonna take it and you're gonna put it on the side and hold it down. You may need to hold it there for a few seconds. Once you've got your glue really good and on there, what you're gonna do is while you're holding down the middle, the part that you just glued, you're gonna kind of move your wings, fold them up just a little bit so that it becomes 3D. And you're gonna do the same exact thing on the other side. All right, so now that you have your wings on both sides, you're done with your black paper, so you can set that aside. Now you're gonna take your orange paper. So the orange paper is gonna be for the beak that's gonna go up here and the 2 feet that are gonna go on the bottom. So first, let's start with the feet. Cut out a triangle, a bigger triangle that looks like this. Then once you have your 2 feet, what you're gonna do is take the glue, put it on the edge, just like we did with the wings. And then one is gonna go on the left side and the other is gonna go on the right side. And now it looks like 2 little orange feet. You can take your orange paper again and make an even smaller triangle for the beak. So now that we have that, what we're gonna do is do the same thing where we put the glue on the edge of the top of it. Put it right up here toward the bottom of the cap. You're gonna take 2 googly eyes. You're gonna put a little dot of glue on those. And that's it. You're all done with your water bottle penguin. Isn't he so cute? Have you ever seen a penguin waddle? Let's see, what should we name him? I don't know, guys. What should we name him? Maybe Pete? Pete the penguin? I think that's a good name for him. Hey Pete, can you show us how you waddle? I'm gonna try and waddle just like you. Okay. Did I do it? Did I do it? Oh, I tried. It's not as good as you though, Pete. Can you try to waddle at home? All you have to do is put your arms straight to your side with your hands out like this, put your feet and legs really close together, and then try to walk, baby steps, just like this. We want to see your penguin walks. If you want to send us a picture or a video of your penguin walks, you can text them to 704-343-8955. Even though there's no snow here on the ground yet this year, doing this craft made me so excited about snow. I am hoping that we will get snow before this winter season is over. How about you? All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.
This is Jaden. I'm going to tell you a story about his very bad day. It all started when he slept through his alarm. He had to get dressed quickly and rush out the door to catch the bus. Then, a kid on the bus made fun of him for no reason. And he thought, this is the worst. When Jaden got off the bus, he stepped right into a big puddle and soaked his shoes and socks. He thought, this is the worst. When he got to class, Mrs. Ford asked him to turn in his homework. But when Jaden looked in his bag, he couldn't find it. He forgot it when he rushed out the door. Then he thought, this is the worst. During class, Jaden couldn't concentrate on anything because he was in such a bad mood. All he could think about was his late start, the kid on the bus, his wet shoes and socks, and his missing homework. That's when Mrs. Ford called on Jaden for the answer. He didn't even know what question they were on. Jaden was silent, and he felt like everyone was staring at him. That made him mad. He slammed his fist down on the desk and shouted, "I don't know!" Jaden immediately knew that wasn't right. He didn't know what happened. He felt so out of control and upset. Now the class was really staring at Jaden, and Mrs. Ford asked him to see her during recess. And he thought, this is the worst. At recess, Jaden went to Mrs. Ford's class. He sat down and she asked what was bothering him. Jaden explained to her all of the terrible events from that morning. Mrs. Ford showed him a jar of water and said, "This jar represents your mind." Then she held out a dish of glitter. These represent all of your distracting thoughts and feelings that play over and over in your mind. She then dropped the glitter in the jar, put the lid on top, and shook the jar. The glitter flew around furiously, just like Jaden's thoughts. "Now, let's see what happens if we stop shaking our thoughts and feelings," Mrs. Ford said. They sat in silence and watched as the swirling glitter slowed down and began to sink to the bottom. Mrs. Ford told Jaden to focus only on the glitter and his breathing. One by one, each piece fell. It was so quiet, he could hear his breaths go in and out. In and out. In and out. He could see his chest rise up and down with each breath. Up with his inhale, down with his exhale. Up, down. He could feel his heartbeat slowing down. He could feel his angry thoughts slowly drifting away. He felt calmer. As the glitter slowed, Jaden's thoughts slowed. His bad day was no longer repeating in his head as much. His bad day stopped bothering him. Jaden just focused on the jar and his breathing, and he felt better. Finally, Mrs. Ford held up the jar. All the glitter had settled down, just like his thoughts and feelings. Jaden smiled for the first time that day. He felt okay. "This is pretty cool. I think we should share it with the class. Some of my friends would really like it too," Jaden said. Mrs. Ford agreed. She told him that they just practiced mindfulness. Mindfulness is paying careful attention to what is happening now and noticing when your attention drifts away. Mindfulness can help you stop thinking about things from the past. It can also help you not think about things in the future, like a big test you have coming up. One of the ways we can practice mindfulness is by just focusing on our breathing. If we try to sit still and breathe for a few minutes a day, it can really improve the way we feel. There are many other ways that we can practice mindfulness. Some days, we may want to use the mindfulness jar. And other days, we may want to do a sun salutation. There are some days we may want to do lazy 8 breathing. And other days, we may want to do an awareness game. Jaden's class has been practicing mindfulness for the last 3 weeks, and already they've noticed a change in their classroom. They are calmer, more caring for one another, and more focused and able to ignore distractions. Of course, bad things still happen, but now Jaden doesn't react so quickly. He just pauses, takes a few deep breaths, and thinks everything will be okay.
Hey guys, normally I'm an amped up art, but this month's mission is a little crafty. So I'm gonna be showing you what we're gonna do. COVID-19 affects a lot of people in our local community and beyond. So what we're gonna do, just to spread a little bit of joy, is we're gonna write little get well soon cards to the patients, or you can write cards thanking the doctors and nurses and people that work at the hospitals. All you're gonna do is take your paper, you can write whatever you want on the inside and the outside, decorate it however you want. Then you're gonna take your note, you're gonna put it in this envelope that you should have in your amped box. It should already have a stamp in the corner. You're gonna write this address that you see in the return address area on here, so it'll go straight to us. Put your card in the envelope. Make sure to seal it up real good. write this address. Then you're gonna take your mailbox and send it. So once we get these all back from you in the mail, we are going to take them straight to the hospital. Or what you can do, if you want to deliver them on your own to your local hospital, whether it's here in Mooresville or in a different state or a different city, what you can do is you can take your letters directly to the hospital yourself. If you end up delivering your letters to the hospital on your own, we want to see your pictures. So get your parent or someone to take a picture of you handing in your cards at your local hospital and send them to 704-343-8955, and you'll be featured in our next episode.
Wow, so many choices to be made in life. Do you think you make good choices, or do you think that you should work on making better choices? I know a choice you should make: to go bowling with Amped. I've always wanted to go bowling, but I can't because I don't have hands. So I need you to go bowling for me. Well, that's it for today's episode, and we'll see you next time on Amped. Bye!
Follow us on Instagram at Amped Online to stay up to date on the latest news, air dates, and extra content. Check out our webpage at ampedwestchurch.com to watch full episodes, segments, get more information about upcoming events, and more. Also, text AMPED to 704-343-8955 to sign up for your free AMPED subscription box.